charms?
We had well, there's just some little friends. We actually had more.
Okay.
One of them had to leave.
Okay.
A little dog who got sick of sitting here.
Okay.
So unfortunately.
Do you know
right.
that? You know that story where David Lynch talks about like driving by some like Woody Woodpeckers and like from a gas station. He had like 5 Woody Woodpecker dolls that he always had.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. My wife just finished reading his book.
Oh, cool. The Big Fish one or the?
No, she's got that. She
Okay.
actually has a signed copy of that.
Oh, wow.
No, the new Space to Dream. It's his biography.
Oh, whoa.
And it's really good. And he's got all kinds of amazing stories in there.
Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah, very. I didn't read it, but I heard so many little anecdotes that I would recommend it to anyone who is half a fan of David Lynch.
Does that mean, is your wife a filmmaker? I mean, are you a filmmaker? I'm so curious, your story, like.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a crazy story, so I can't really tell all of it, but
Okay,
I went to, I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and so I was lucky to have Powell's books, as well as a lot of film courses as a kid. And then we also had a place called Movie Madness, which is probably the best video store in the world. And so I was able to go to Powell's and look at all these crazy books from the 70s and 80s on underground film and film in general. And then I was able to go to Movie Madness and actually see some of this stuff. The two were kind of separated. As a young kid, I had all these books and would love to just kind of pore over these images, these still images. And a lot of these movies were just totally like from another planet. You know, you'd never heard of them. Good luck ever seeing them. Like Holy Mountain, stuff like that. You know, in the
Jodorowsky?
90s.
Is that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, you know, in the 90s, early 2000s, you know, it was like, you know, rumored, fabled movies. Yeah. And so I was able to finally, you know, go to Movie Madness and get all of these wild movies. And that had a big influence on me.
Yeah, man, I would say you saw that like Holy Mountain stuff in like high school or is it
yeah.
Okay.
Holy Mountain, it wasn't until maybe my early 20s.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm like same. I didn't know about that guy till late 20s, and that would blow my mind as a kid.
I did see a lot of underground stuff. I was also I was really lucky. I had a teacher in high school who showed a bunch of movies.
That's cool.
Wim Wenders, Werner Herzog, really good stuff. And then later after high school, I did there was a film program with the art museum in Portland. It was okay. I think it was probably more useful just to watch movies and make, you know, short films, music videos and stuff with friends. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you remember some of those books that you saw like as a kid that left an impression? Like, do you remember specific images
Incredibly Strange Films by Research. They did. There's a series of books. There were zines, really, and they had a companion, Incredibly Strange Music. And man, I remember the cover and flipping through that. Just so much great content in there. You know, movies, a lot of stuff that ended up, you know, on Mystery Science Theater and other art films, you know, that even now are still kind of hard to find outside of YouTube.
This kind of gets straight to the kind of heart of like something I want to ask you is like, given that you have this like rich, you came from this kind of like, you know, you were exposed like, you know, underground movies and films, and obviously Portland is such a cool artistic city. Like, how do you square that now? I mean, and clearly your AI work is so cool, and you have so many references. Do you have like, I don't know what it's like in Portland. I'm in Los Angeles, and you know, not a lot of fans of AI. So like, how do you square that with like that like old school? You know what I'm saying? Kind of like
Well, I left Portland a long time ago.
Okay.
Um, I I did. I don't know if this is directly answering your question, but also just to kind of give a little bit of a backstory, I was making video projections and music videos
Oh, cool.
for bands in the area, um, and lugging around video projectors and doing all this stuff. Um, it was, hard to make anything happen in Portland because the economy was just been so bad. So I left in 2010 and just focused on writing. And kind of a little bit with the idea that eventually this AI stuff would take off. I was kind of surprised that it sort of happened kind of as abruptly as it did, and that it advanced as quickly as it did.
You were anticipating that kind of in 2010 even?
Oh yeah, I was into Ray Kurzweil and this stuff like in the 90s when I was like still in high school. So I've been watching this whole thing play out for so long. It's really interesting to see it materialize in this way. So yeah.
So lugging around projectors, sorry, and like yeah.
It's a little convoluted. It's kind of impossible to. It would be like hours to say the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because there's all this other stuff that's been going on.
Well, that makes sense that you. I mean, feel free to speak about as little or as much as you want, but that makes sense that you were already into this, like Kurzweil. I remember a buddy gave me Kurzweil in, I think, like beginning of college, and I read it, and I was like, "What are you talking? This is crazy. It's not going to happen." And I also thought there was something a little like, I don't know how you feel, but some of these guys like Peter Diamandis and Kurzweil seem very afraid of death, and they're like terrified. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I've definitely picked up on. I'm kind of coming from like a third position. I've always really been into spirituality and mysticism from a very young age too,
which is in your work, of course.
A little bit. So I'm kind of seeing things from a little bit of a different perspective, but certainly have some of the same concerns. I think maybe I see different opportunities than some people, some of the doomers out there. I've been really interested in Kurzweil's ideas, but as a person, I feel like we probably would part ways on a number of subjects because they do seem very afraid of death. I'm more interested in technology, extended life to transcend death, metaphysically, to extend life so you can kind of become enlightened and leave the body naturally.
Will you speak more on that? That's so cool.
Yeah, rather than cyborgs,
Sure.
I do think people will probably be getting chips in the head and whatnot, but I think that's a little bit of a boogeyman. I think it seems like a lot of people are afraid that they're going to be forced to get these chips.
Right.
I don't really think that's going to happen. I think something much more unusual will probably happen.
Oh, please.
Bifurcation, a splitting of society and maybe humans biologically, and not just cyborgs and non-cyborgs, but other sort of unanticipated conclusions, like
such as
like a tessellation. So there's all these different possibilities. Well, I mean, already we're using information technology, let's say, not just AI, but sharing information on social media to promote certain supplements or avoid certain things in order to promote longevity.
Yes.
So, there's talk of like immortality, escape velocity. It's almost like we're kind of already doing it in a way. People are already slowing down their age naturally, sort of naturally. I mean, are supplements natural? Are they technology? It kind of ends up being sort of a matter of linguistics. But so it just as one example of how people are maybe changing their biology or maybe their mental states through nootropics, So they're using this to alter themselves or enhance themselves without, overt technology, without, exoskeletons and RoboCop kind of scenarios.
Yeah.
So that's just one example, and I think there's going to be other things, unanticipated, unimagined things that may come about.
That's so interesting. You make me think of like like someone was, there was something I was reading about literacy levels, like the literacy levels are terrible, like kids aren't reading as much. And then I was thinking, I feel like I mean, I know a lot of people don't read books anymore. I do, but we also read so
Yeah.
much on screens, like
Yeah.
constantly, that people didn't in the past. Like maybe it's not as high quality, but you're reading more, and just the act of
Yeah.
reading is so powerful that we kind of lose. You know what I mean? Like we're so busy
Mm-hmm.
complaining that we don't realize how
Yeah.
far we're coming. We might not even notice we're becoming immortal because we're so busy
Yeah.
bitching about the details.
Yeah. Totally. And it's interesting. It also brings up a point about short form versus long form content and what that may be doing. And it's something I think about too, because I want to share images and short films, motion pictures, I guess you could say, but also I don't want to contribute to people's brain rot, I guess. Also makes me wonder, perhaps we are going in a direction where, like you said, we're reading a lot and it's all very fast, and we're almost accelerating our cognition in a way. And perhaps we will be transitioning from written language to visual languages. As visual, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And
Whoa.
and a lot of cultures already kind of exist in this way. China and India, their letters in their language they're pictographic, so they all mean multiple different things at once, like memes. So these we may be going in a direction where we are. I mean, we're kind of already there, where we use memes and they're conveying all this information.
Yes.
And to an outsider, maybe completely inexplicable, but to us, we're, cracking up and laughing at all of the implications that a simple image might convey.
Yeah, and they're like multi-dimensional, right? They're like language, they're visual, they require cultural context. And
Yes. And then I think in, eventually we will be communicating with telepathically with images and just information. I mean, I think we kind of already do to a low extent and unconsciously, but I think that's kind of the direction where we're going.
whoa.
Yeah.
You just made me realize, talking about contributing to Rain Rod in these 15-second chunks, and I have the same hesitations, but I also agree that, and having these conversations with other artists in this space made me realize, no, we are very soon going to be communicating with in a visual language in real time. Right now it's very slow and clunky, but eventually you'll be able to conjure images and moving pictures in real time, and you'll literally be speaking in images. And when you come from that frame of mind, the TikTok culture, whatever we want to call it, isn't necessarily bad, because we'll be consuming things so quickly, and they'll be densely packed with information. So it's you don't want to watch people getting hit in the nuts with bats all the time, but it's maybe preparing us for how quickly and densely we're going to be because memes, like you're saying. Sorry, go ahead if that gives you ideas.
Yeah, right, totally. It makes you wonder, because we're moving forward in an accelerated pace, but there's always forks in the road, and the road can snake and go in different directions that we're not anticipating, for good and bad. And I think maybe we'll be seeing that both. I feel like a lot of people see like it's kind of black and white, that it's going to be one way or the other, Skynet or not. And I think it's going to be way more varied, and there's going to be more, variation or more surprises to our expectations. And again, good and bad. So, I think it puts us in a kind of a precarious situation where we're gonna have to stay on our toes and adapt, and maybe pivot away from some things. Maybe, like the brain rot. Maybe we need to kind of be careful about that. certainly it seems like taken to the extreme, it would just naturally be bad, and people can, not only are they just sort of as people kind of like turning into gross monsters, but they can be manipulated in ways where they're not even aware of. So yeah, it feels like almost this like the tooth and claw law of nature is sort of being sort of transitioned into a digital informational realm where evolutionary pressures are, they still exist in the physical world to an extent, but we've sort of controlled nature so much that it sort of doesn't affect us. And some of this stuff is kind of spilling over into the information world. And where, there's good people and there's, predacious people. And there's also, I don't know, chud chewers, sort of people who are just kind of grazing and not thinking about it, kind of mixed in. So it's quite a tableau of different experiences and states of mind. I keep thinking about what Elon Musk said about how the most likely outcome is the most entertaining. And it feels like it's like Terence McKenna says, it's this concrescence or this exponentially accelerating launch into a world that is almost hard to wrap your mind around, because so much is happening and so much in going in different directions that it's kind of hard to keep track of it all.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned McKenna because, and I bring this up in other pods with people, but if you just look at the AI tools we've been using over the past 6 months, they've been evolving so quickly. You see, like, it's very easy to believe we're on some kind of exponential curve towards a singularity. Like, I feel it now that it's moving.
Quite quickly. So it's interesting, and we haven't even really gotten to the hologram level. I mean, there's some of that, like in Japan, of the projected holograms.
I don't know.
I think I haven't seen this. It's pretty amazing. There was a real push for VR and augmented reality goggles, and it doesn't seem to be catching on too much. I don't really blame anyone. It's a little weird, especially with Mark Zuckerberg promoting it. I suspect that the holographic technology might be more of a hit with people. You don't have to strap anything on. It's just sort of in your environment, projected, kind of like in Star Wars.
Yes. I guess I've seen some of those spinning fans, right? Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, or the billboards. Have you not seen the billboards?
Yes,
the 3D. Yeah. So, and that I think will also could be a whole new area for art and entertainment. Where maybe instead of these sort of insular virtual realities we sort of go into, which could still be a thing at some point, but it's more of a thing where people can come together and witness these interactions. Theatrical plays, for example,
or cinema, more like interaction,
sure,
holographic
cinema. And then you combine that with agentic AI that is like Data on Star Trek that can kind of do its own thing, and hang out with you and interact and respond, and it could be very interesting.
Dude, this is amazing. This is so cool. I love that you're open. Because I feel very like a kindred spirit, because I'm also like, I've read like McKenna, I've read, spiritual guys, but I love the tech. And obviously when you use it, it unlocks, you feel like a kid again. You're like, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I get this? There's
a real exploratory element. Like it definitely does not feel like I'm like typing a prompt and then the AI just makes something. Right. Very rarely. Sometimes, it'll throw up something like, wow, that was pretty good. But most of the time you really have to work with it. Sure. And there's a lot of stuff, I just could never really quite get it. And so, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Well, just like the how I guess what I was trying to say is like it doesn't, it feels like it's such a positive technology, and there's so much
Yeah,
optimism, and it can
yeah,
reflect the beauty of humanity and like the
yeah,
things we've made, and like the
yeah,
childhood images you saw, getting some of that back, that
yeah,
magic. It's very
yeah.
magical.
It's very magical in that way. And Michelangelo, he said that for his sculptures that he didn't, just sculpt something. He let this sculpture sort of reveal itself
Yes.
as he chipped away at it. And that's how it feels a
Yeah.
lot of times. Like I'll have an idea, it'll throw something up and it's not quite right, but there'll be certain things that I do like. And maybe I'll go in a completely different direction where it's nothing like what I was trying to do. It's something completely different. So a lot of it is this, it feels like exploring and discovering, which is really cool for the creator or the person doing it. It also makes all of the criticism seem kind of funny. It's like you're just sort of like discovering this thing, and then there's like, I guess, people out there with pitchforks that are upset about it.
I mean, yeah,
So
I don't know. Yeah.
it's technological leaps often have this element of people being upset. I remember computer graphics, in the 90s, people didn't like it. And it did look kind of bad. And even now, it's not always great. But in a lot of ways, also, it turned out to be okay and even useful. And, yeah, it's kind of human nature to fear the unknown. They were very fearful of electricity. People protested, people drew comics, warning of the dangers. People were going to die, and people did die. It did kill a lot of people, but we also developed technology to protect people from that. Now it's pretty unusual that someone would be just like electrocuted from a power line or something.
Right.
This is a bit different. It's unlike anything we've had before, and so I kind of understand people's concerns. I just think a lot of their arguments are wrong. It's like their understanding isn't quite right. But
Yes.
honestly, I would have been happy to just be making images half as good or half as, compelling. I could just be here alone doing it. I'd be having a great time. But the fact that there's both an audience of people who enjoy it and also a bunch of people who are really mad and upset, that's like great. It's like salt for the popcorn. I would have, I was sold already, but now there's like people like, rah! It's like hilarious to me. So I like it.
That's cool. So it doesn't bother you.
Well, they can't really do anything to stop it. So it's like, and also I think there's a lot of these people will probably change their tune or over the years. In the short term, I'm a little concerned about cults, both like
really
anti-AI cults and pro-AI cults.
Yes.
Because people are crazy and
Yes.
human nature never changes and there's always going to be crazy people. And I can kind of already see it happening.
Yes.
And especially when you add in these kind of doomsday fears or utopian promises, people can't handle, they go crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a little concerning.
It is concerning. I mean, you kind of like alluded to like the potential negatives earlier on, and I just had the idea that people aren't able to currently accurately assess the actual issues, which I don't think are like job loss, because I actually think there'll be more jobs created than there will be people to do them. I see it exploding. I see that more of the issues probably like people dying from like awe, or people's brains getting fried, like people being, you know what I mean, like or cults, or getting very extremist views through an hyper algorithms or something like that. It's not job loss, man. There are gonna be tons of jobs. I think.
I think so too, and also people creating their own jobs.
100%.
And,
I mean, just like Grand Theft Auto is going to have people working inside the game. Like, there are going to be a million games, and they're going to be... So it's like endless.
Yeah. And also, I think just living life is almost a full-time job. I
Totally.
mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot just to maintain your life, especially if you know, maybe have chickens in your backyard or growing a little garden, which I think a lot more people should be doing. And I think that there would be a lot more quality of life, or an elevation of quality of life for people if they were kind of, got in the backyard, hung out with their neighbors, did, kind of perennial, always true kind of things, or always, appropriate things. Things that are always good for us, regardless of the time period we're in.
Yes.
And I think people are kind of starting to realize that. People are wanting to get out of the cities, or, live a more, maybe agrarian, slowed down kind of life. And I think all of this technological, this explosion is pushing people in that direction. I think that's probably a good thing. Yeah. I think we need harmony, balance.
Yes.
Not going to extremes with this stuff, because we obviously can't unplug everything, and
And it needs to serve, the technology needs to serve our lives, and like you're saying, like a positive lifestyle, it has to serve us and how we have determined collectively we want to live, and which hopefully is like with nature and living healthy and having healthy communities and healthy relationships. And
it brings up in a way kind of an important point that people don't, it's not like, it's not something people want to talk about. The argument is sort of framed like, and this is, I think, true in the way people discuss power and how power is distributed and wealth. There's this idea that it's like there's the ordinary people, and they're all good, and then there's people who are in government or in places of power or wealth or whatever it is, and they're sort of necessarily bad. And the same can be said about the technology itself. Like the technology is just here to enslave, and all of the humans are just just happy people running around, just let me be free. But the truth is that it's kind of mixed. There's actually a lot of bad people that are running around, and there are some good people who maybe are wealthy, or good people who are working in technology, and the technology itself may have some capabilities for good, and that may play out in a way where there is a force of good with this technology, but some people might not see it that way if it restricts their freedom. If their ideas of freedom is like, burning down the Walmart, or what I mean, or going 125 through a school zone, or point is that it's a real kind of rat's nest of sort of problems and solutions, and I think it defies any sort of easy answers. And I think a lot of times when people start talking about this stuff, they think about themselves, they know themselves as good, but they don't always acknowledge that there's a lot of people who can't really behave in society. And so I wonder if this technology, kind of like how it's used in China, and I don't promote that or condone that, but we may enter a phase where the technology, especially when we get to like ASI or the superintelligence, it may have some hard lessons for us, or some hard answers. People can't just, it can't just be total chaos all the time with all this super powerful technology, because it's like, it's going to cause problems for, innocent people who just want to live their lives. And that, people with this technology may abuse it in a way that hurts other people. So, and, the solutions that come out may be out of our hands in some way. We might not be able to do anything about it. And I think we may be entering into a phase where that becomes clear, and there could be some real strong feelings, you know, against that. There could be some real upset people. I don't know what that looks like, and I would imagine even if whether it was draconian or not, there's going to be a lot of people who are really unhappy. Kind of like how they're unhappy with the AI just to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind though is like the Amish, right?
Yeah,
they're allowed to live and worship the way they want to, and seems to be okay.
Looks good to me. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I want to be out in the country. Sure, right, I don't want to be in a surveillance state, you know, like. So, yeah.
I guess my take is always when people are like, "Oh, it's going to be this dystopian future." I'm like, "Bitch, we've been living in a dystopian future.
I know.
It's already been fucking dystopian. Like, it's making any worse,
totally.
Man. Like, what the fuck? What
exactly.
You think this been, like, man? Patriot Act?
Yeah. It's like we're already on the other side of 1984.
Bro.
Like we lived through it, and now we're kind of like, oh, okay, what's next? Like
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, after COVID, it's like we're still here. Like, wow, we did it. So, yeah.
And that's why a lot of us are so excited. Then this technology comes along that shows us like some brightness in humanity, like mirroring back to us, and like, oh yeah, like it's reminding us of the beauty and our childhoods and things we can create, and it's helping other people create that were kept out of these systems of cultural creation. Yeah. You know, it's like that's why we're excited.
Yeah, totally. I think you brought up some good points, and I think there's a lot of that sentiment, consciously or unconsciously, of people kind of wanting bringing back
control
things in the past that were good. It's not so much I guess it's nostalgia in a way, but it's more like, you know, some of the things we had going worked pretty well, and maybe we bring those back, kind of like the Amish. I don't think there's anyone who like looks at the Amish and are like, fuck those guys, but I think everyone is like, okay, well, yeah, they're, you know, you can't argue with that. They're doing.
You see them all building houses together. You're like, well, God damn it, I can't afford a house. Like, let's do that.
Right. There's no downside. They're happy. I mean, what are you going to do? So I think we're on a splitting point where, you know, more people are kind of going towards that, but also a splitting point where they're maybe bringing technology into that. They're having robots help them grow food,
for sure,
or, you know, whatever. So I'm thinking of and hoping for kind of a Star Wars.
I was just going to say,
not in the sense, right? Yeah. Not in the sense of like, you know, evil empires, and hopefully not, but the sense of a sort of toned down kind of use of technology and their spirituality, and you know, people are engaging with each other, growing food. It's sort of there. It helps us, but we're not like glued in to the, you know, the idiocracy sort of world, watching Ow My Balls, you know, 16 hours a day on Adderall, and like, you know. So that's exciting. It feels like the Wild West.
Yes.
And we're kind of, you know, you've probably heard of the fourth turning.
Yes.
Probably some people listening. We kind of, you know, nature goes in cycles. History goes in cycles. History it doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And we're kind of in that cycle of the Revolutionary War and the Civil War and World War II. And it's all kind of happening at once. Yeah. And it all kind of has this sort of Wild West, kind of new frontier, I guess, feeling. And I think it's exciting to kind of be on the ground floor of that. I think there's going to be so many different directions that we go, especially when people start making their own technology in their garages.
Oh, yeah, man.
And then who knows what's going to happen.
I mean, I was just talking to, I think it was Christopher Bryant. We were talking about the guy who cured his dog's cancer, and he just vibe coded based on, I mean, once you start seeing that at scale, it's going to be like popcorn, like people applying these tools.
Yeah.
Just regular folks in the Midwest, and just, it's going to be wild, man. Miracles upon miracles.
Yeah, and then at the same time, we'll start to go out to outer space or, you know, underground or the oceans, exploring other realms, other dimensions, who knows, but it's kind of exciting. I'm not sure. I wonder where that leaves, you know, the cinema and movies, since it's kind of what we're talking about here. I could foresee like people sort of reinvigorating independent cinemas, which I hope.
Too. I do.
Because people love it and people miss it so much. And it's kind of the perfect time because Hollywood has kind of hung itself. The, you know, the independent theaters and the mainstream theaters are all kind of dying out. Sort of perfect time to kind of hand the baton over and figure out new ways of showing these movies as all this new sort of stories kind of explode with this technology.
Dude, it's I see it so clearly. It's so
Yeah.
easy, man. Like these theater, I mean, we have digital. You could screen it. You could use blockchain. You could to like
Yes,
schedule movies,
totally,
and you
yeah.
could also see how well a movie's performing at a theater. And if it's doing good, keep it in the theaters. If it goes
Yeah,
6 months, great. If it's
right.
not, take it out, put it in the
Totally.
next one. You could have these
Yeah.
indie. I mean, bro.
And
yeah.
and I think regional
Yes.
content, regional
Yes.
culture is coming back.
I pray.
Yeah, right.
Music
we
scenes,
had
regional. Yeah.
we had in the 1970s we kind of switched over to this global financial system that we're in, and everything sort of trended towards this one world, one culture kind of thing. And then as we've seen, it's sort of blown out, and now we're returning to a multipolar regional kind of world where
Yes.
I think we're going to have, you know, regional stuff again, like we used to. Sometimes there'd be movies you wouldn't even see it on the East Coast or the West Coast, depending where you were. Smaller movies, and maybe they get big enough and then they travel around. It reminds me too of this whole movement. It reminds me a lot of music.
Yes.
And the way music kind of has become, where you have indie groups, you know, maybe 3-4 guys, maybe 2 guys, maybe 1 guy, and they, you know, they kind of run the whole thing. They book the shows, they do it all, and they have their fan base. Maybe they're not selling out giant arenas, but they have their own thing, and they have their own, you know, there's the community around it where they, you know, the people who perform are also the ones going to the shows and promoting, and it's like a network.
Yeah, man.
And out of that,
Bro,
you know,
think
bigger
about
audience,
like Olympia,
yeah.
man. Olympia, K. It was crazy. K
Olymp-
Records. Do you know K Records at all? It was like a big indie. It was like
Yeah.
90s, 2000s. But like, you know,
Yeah.
and then there's Merge, like in the South. And there's so many indie labels that were regional that,
We were actually, my wife and I were watching, what do they call this Olympia band last night?
Oh,
and
cool.
We got into watching old VHS footage of Olympia, Washington.
Whoa.
Of just the street scenes, you know, in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I'm not so familiar with that, but yeah. I definitely, yeah. And these sort of, you know, like bedroom studios or, you know, little companies or, you know,
I
record
think
studios.
and you'll see it too with clothes, hopefully, and food.
Yeah,
as the means of production are literally go in your garage if you have a couple humanoid robots and you can 3D print your stuff and ship out. You know, maybe you're the guy to ask because I was talking to someone else about this, but I was thinking even about giant corporations, right? Like think of McDonald's, and you know how you see these anecdotes about like, this is what they took from you, like the 90s McDonald's. It's all colorful, you know?
Yes.
And it's sick. It's fucking sick. And
I
now
know,
it's like this like crazy
so bad,
gray
dystopian,
fucking monolith.
miserable.
And
miserable.
but it's like, but now that it's so, it'll be easier and easier to construct and 3D print things.
Yeah.
Maybe we could go back to like, here's your regional, you know, Southern McDonald's with like regional like
Yes.
flair,
Yes.
and your
Totally.
that would be sick if corporations could help jumpstart that kind of stuff. You know,
Totally, yeah. And then it gets, you know, local participation.
Yeah.
You know, they source the food or whatever the company is locally, and it's a different dynamic rather than these, you know, cultural deserts that are strewn throughout our country. You know, these big box stores and everything looks the same, and so I'm optimistic. I think we might have a period of chaos before things get good. But there can still be a lot of fun had in that time, and when we may look back even at this period of chaos that we're in fondly. You know, 30 years from now, people maybe are like, "Man, I wish I was alive when everything was fucked up and chaotic."
Yeah.
And you know, there was that kind of Wild West, anything kind of go, or anything is possible kind of feeling that's growing in the air. I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's starting.
No. Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, our little corner of the world of like just people experimenting with AI art. I mean, that's partly why like I get so inspired by you and other artists, and
thank you.
that's why I'm doing this podcast, just to kind of document it. Hopefully people might see it later, and this is what it was like right at the start, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
Not the start, but a few years in, but yeah.
Still early.
We've been messing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, dude, I could talk to you forever, but I mean,
thank you.
Maybe we could start wrapping up. But I am curious, because you kind of touched on this, like going to space and stuff. There's all this alien disclosure. Like, what's your take on aliens? Is this a big psyop? Are there aliens, you think? Is it much weirder, like McKenna said? Okay. There we go. Whoa, that's cool, man. Whoa.
Stop it.
Got a little ET living with you?
Yeah. Things have actually been pretty calm for me lately. I think like the AI stuff, it's sort of a mixed bag, and in regards to the truth,
and
what the truth is.
AI and aliens and UFOs and stuff are connected.
Probably, yeah. And I think AI is probably going to be the bridge for meaningful contact, I guess you could say. I doubt very much that there's just going to be like spaceships land and people come out. People are probably going to have a hard enough time just dealing with the concept, let alone like seeing something.
Right.
And I think people having a hard time dealing with it doesn't necessarily mean people freaking out. I think it's more like people ignoring it or not wanting to think about it. And we may be moving into a place where it's getting harder and harder to kind of ignore it. And I don't know how people are going to react after that. It's been interesting. This has been a subject of interest since I was a kid, and I've been I'm at times kind of active in this space. I don't know if you're familiar with the Disclosure Project.
The new movie. That's good.
Well, I saw Stephen Greer speak a couple times years ago. In fact, I think the second time I saw him speak was on September 12th, 2001.
Oh, wow.
And so I've been watching this space very, very closely. And in the past, I was a very big promoter for disclosure. And the more time has gone on, the less confidence I have in people being able to kind of make sense of it or handle it. And yet, it kind of seems like it's inevitable at this point. I think Nick Pope? It wasn't Nick Pope. It was Richard Dolan, who recently passed away, sadly. He said it's both impossible and inevitable.
Whoa.
And that's how it seems. And so watching this happen is kind of surreal. It's sort of anticlimactic in a way, which is good, I think. Right. People, I'm watching the reactions of people. That's what's more interesting to me than the actual documents that are being released. And I think that it's going to be a slow release of this information over time, and a long period of people kind of adapting to it. And I think younger people, especially children, probably can adapt to it easier. But there's so many different kinds of perspectives. There's different emotional reactions that people have. And so... I don't know I don't think there's going to be like a single sort of response. There's going to be a lot of different responses, and people will have a very sort of an emotional need to express what they think is happening in order to maybe feel like they're kind of in control of it, or they have like, my idea's right, they're demons, or they're aliens, or they're it's not real at all, or it's Project Bluebeam, or it's XYZ. People really, I think, unconsciously get really scared, or really like, it's like the ground is falling out from underneath them. They don't fully know, but they feel this sense of, I'm falling, I have to grab onto something.
Yeah.
And I think probably the most important thing for people to do is kind of stay calm and not react too much, both in the short term, in the sense of, you know, getting a gun and shooting at the night sky, but also, you know, how those beliefs will lead them in a certain direction. Because I see there's so much information, and there's so many different takes and so many different ways people process that information. And I think it's, you know, not everyone is seeing everything perfectly, including myself.
Of course.
But people, there's a natural, instinctive urge to kind of turn on the lights and see what's going on. And I don't think that's going to be happening maybe ever. Because there's been so much misinformation. There's been so much withholding of the truth. The trust in our institutions is gone. And even if they start telling the truth, we kind of don't have a way of knowing how much of it is really true. And people have this idea that it's like the government has all these documents, then they know what's going on. But this stuff is not really governmental. It's black, quasi-commercial projects. Where they're not even necessarily writing this stuff down. It's not like they have all these documents.
The
which
files.
Is crazy.
Right.
Like, which is kind of crazy to think that there's decades of this information that is word of mouth. It's almost like ancient shamans interacting with the star people. Like, there's no way of knowing what's really going on unless you were there. So, and they'll probably never reveal everything. And there's probably a lot of stuff that we don't necessarily need to know. But I think ultimately the most important thing isn't what the aliens are or what all that is. It's, I think, an understanding of who we are and our understanding of ourselves and our ability to be free of our conditioning in our nervous system, because we have a hard time accepting this kind of level of information. Humans are almost programmed to be religious. I don't even think that's necessarily a bad thing, but people have this, I mean, it's, you know, thousands of years of sort of reinforced belief structures. And when the future or the world becomes very uncertain and very unknown, we revert back to what we know. And that's not necessarily bad, but it's also not necessarily the truth the way we think we know it. So people want to know about the aliens. Just as someone who's had a lot of experience with that and seen a lot of that personally, it's way more important to tune into who you are and what humanity is and who we are and what that means. And
I love that.
What it means to be embodied.
I love that.
Because it doesn't matter. It's kind of like, you know, running around New York City and asking everyone what their address is. It's like, what is it? You know, in terms of like, who are they? Where are they from? It's not going to help you. No. It's not going to help you. No. And if anybody wants to actually, I think maybe someday talk to whatever these things are, you're going to have a real handle on the way you react to things, because it's very, very difficult.
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting, because what you're saying really kind of encompasses everything. I don't even know if it's worth trying to break it down. I think people who hear this will get it, and people who don't, and everyone's on their own journey. But I personally relate to that, and I personally just want you to know, I appreciate you saying that, and finding your own voice. I respect people who have gotten to the point where they have enough confidence in themselves where they can open up their mind and entertain different viewpoints, different perspectives, different politics, religions. You can let it all in and decide for yourself what works for you and who you are and what your life is.
Yeah, and not react, and
Yes,
not
yes.
black pill. Because I see people
Yes. And
really like
reacting is just
Yeah.
ping-ponging back and forth and creates this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that they go online, they share these ideas, they don't know who they're talking to. They could really be gassing someone up who might go do something crazy, or it might just maybe they're mentally ill, and it just feeds into them, into the their illness.
Yeah.
I'll say one more thing. I see so often people people really have this this idea that they really want to like smash over people's heads that the aliens are really demons.
Oh,
But-
yeah, like Tucker Carlson saying demons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot of truth to that, but it's
Okay.
just an incomplete truth.
Okay.
And it could be more true to say that they're angels, but some angels are fallen angels. But even this, it tells us a little bit, but it doesn't tell us that much. And actually, it might be more helpful to look at it as elves and fairies. That is very ignored in the discourse. People want to say demons, but they don't really know what that is.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like information and little tidbits that might be, I don't know, helpful to understanding within the fairy lore and the lore of the little people. And that also isn't all good. It's not all bad.
Of course.
It's
They're
really a mixed
tricksters.
thing.
Yeah.
So people are very afraid of elves, and even today in certain parts of Europe, they still sometimes did some nice things. Sometimes I'll cobble your shoes for you.
Right.
Just don't say thank you.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that's the lore. If you thank
mean-
them, they get really mad and they leave. But there's I say that kind of playfully.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of hidden lore about this stuff that's out there. It's almost kind of hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
That people don't know about, and they kind of gravitate to this idea that it's just demons, but there's so much more happening.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
There's
of
a
course,
lot
McKenna
more.
talks about the hyperspace elves, and
Yes.
There's-
Yes.
mushrooms, are connected to nature, and like
Yeah.
fairies around mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are mushrooms demons? And demon just means spirit.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. There's good spirits and there's bad spirits.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's from the Greek daemon, which just means spirit, but it's also tied to the word spirit itself, which just means breath or the air.
Oh, really?
And yeah, anyway, there's a lot there for people to explore, but they can't do it if they have these ideas and their mind clenches shut.
It's interesting.
So, anyway.
Well, man, we'll probably have to do another episode because I have so many more
No
questions
problem.
and
Well,
stuff. But
thank you so much.
and
It was-
especially how this connects to your work, like the AI art
Sure.
you're making. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
very deep with the cult meaning, but we'll get into that next time.
Well, there's a lot of fun too.
Of course,
and a lot
of
of it
course.
is just kind of,
yeah.
just
And isn't that
just
interesting
have fun.
how when we play with the technology, that's where
Yeah.
our references and who we are comes
Yeah.
out. And that's why I reach out to people like you where it's so clear.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't subscribe to this idea of like AI slop because because as you see all these different personalities popping up through the AI art, you're like, oh, I can kind of see who that person is a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
totally.
wild. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so
I'm
much.
very honored.
No.
I've been on the internet for a long time, and this
Yeah,
is definitely the best space that I've been in, where people are really positive
Yeah.
and really like genuinely like friendly and supportive.
Yes.
And it hasn't always been that way for myself. So
Yeah.
it's been a nice experience.
Awesome.
And I
Likewise.
say that to everybody out there who might be watching.
Hell yeah.
It's great.
All right.
Thank you
man.
so much.
Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye.